Welcome to the Schwartz Standard Station with your host, Bob Schwartz. Sitting in the passenger seat today is Charlotte French.
So, Bob, I wanted to hear why you would say that dividends are true today as they are tomorrow. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Well, if something's true today, it's probably going to be true tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. If something has historically happened for a long, long time, it's probably going to happen that way, going forward. So let me use an example of. First of all, let's talk about what dividends are. Dividends. Healthy, mature companies many times will pay a dividend to their shareholders.
Okay.
And that dividend is a distribution of profit of that company to a shareholder. So, for instance, if I own one share of AT&T stock, it's going to pay me a dividend of around 5%. So it's $25 a share. That means it's going to pay about $1.25 per year in a dividend. But it's going to pay that over four times a year. Every 90 days, most of these companies pay a dividend. So every 90 days, if I own one share of AT&T stock, I'm going to get around 33 cents. Okay? And those are called dividends. And some companies, Procter & Gamble, I believe this year is their 67th consecutive year of increasing their dividends. Now, they've paid dividends since the 1880s. Think about that. 140 plus years they've paid a dividend. 67 years in a row they've increased it. That leads me to say, without 100% certainty, but with some sense of certainty, do you think Procter & Gamble is going to increase their dividend this year, Charlotte?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that if I have $1 in my pocket, I will bet that $1 that Procter & Gamble will do that. So those are dividends. Well, what other companies pay dividends that we may have heard of in Kansas, that are Kansas-based companies? One would be Evergy, which is what was Kansas Power and Light.
Yeah.
Then it became Westar. Became Western Resources, then Westar. Now it's Evergy because they went together and merged with Kansas City Power and Light. They pay a dividend. Capital Federal Savings and Loan pay a dividend. They're the largest banking institution in the state of Kansas, domiciled in the state of Kansas. So those are two examples. Does that mean they're great companies to own? No, it doesn't. That doesn't mean anything, but they do pay a dividend and have historically paid that dividend. So today what I want to talk about is the power that owning individual stocks can have in terms of building income for when we need it. Whether that's 3 years from now or 30 years from now. Whether we're in the phase of taking those dividends in cash or we're investing those dividends. I want to have an income stream that potentially goes up every year. Otherwise, the amount of income I receive. So let's talk about that for a second.
Sure.
If I buy a CD,
Okay.
let's say I put $10,000 in a certificate of deposit. Right now, they're not paying very much, and we all know that. But let's say it paid me 3%, and I was taking that 3% out. Well, how much income am I going to get the first year? $300, right?
Right.
How much am I going to get? Let's say it's a 3-year CD. How much am I going to get the second year? $300.
Again. Okay.
And the third year, I'm going to get $300. Let's use a company like Procter & Gamble, and we buy it for X number of dollars a share, and let's say they're paying a 3% dividend. Well, the first year, and I put $10,000 in it, I'm going to get $300, right? But then let's say they increase their dividend by 5% from $300 for that year to $315.
Okay.
Well, second year, I'm going to get $315. Let's say they increase it by 2% the next year. Well, that means I'm going to get another $6. So that means the third year I'm going to get $321 of dividends. Okay, I think pretty simple. Is that easy to understand?
Yep. So,
And all the examples we're using, they pay out quarterly.
so because the dividend is consistently rising, you're getting a better return on investment than you would on a CD that has a fixed.
You're getting a better yield on cost. Okay?
Okay.
Because
That's the language.
that's going to bring in another, and that's what I look at. For my clients' accounts, I look at what's my yield on cost. So the longer a client's been with me, what does that generally make yield on cost? Better, the longer they're investing. The key thing is when I invest in a stock, when I invest $10,000 in that CD, it stays $10,000. It doesn't go down in value. It doesn't go up in value. It stays at $10,000 when I pull the dividends out. A stock investment, I can put $10,000 into Procter & Gamble stock, and after a year, it might be worth $7,000.
Right.
It might be worth $11,000. The stock market is going to control the price of that stock. Can I predict that? No. Nobody can. What I can predict are dividends. So when we look at investing, we look at building income for today or income for a future date. I'm not worried, I'm not concerned about how our investment's going to do. I know that historically the investments have done very, very well. But what I mean is it's more important in the terms of planning for retirement, planning for enjoying income for our lifetime. Individual stock in American companies that have a history of increasing their dividends has proven time and time again as the best way to build a sustainable income stream that goes up every year. It's not magic. It's not, hey, Bob knows something nobody else knows. Not at all. It's very, very simple, but it does take some parameters into it that you don't want to ever get out. You want to use the compounding of your dividends, meaning if you're reinvesting your dividends, you want them to not lose that compounding. If you sell out because you think the market's going down, you're missing out on dividend income. When we replace the money and put it back, we're praying that we buy it at a better price. That doesn't work. And what we want to do is to keep that compounding effect on our dividends to help us build those retirement dollars. There's a little story I use about buying a farm, Charlotte, when I compare buying individual stocks. Anybody out here listening, when they bought a farm or they bought more ground, they didn't run around the next day going, how much did I pay for that ground and how much has it gone up today? Or how much has it gone down today?
Yeah.
What did that ag producer do? He thought about how do I get my cattle on this ground, or how do I make this ground more productive for my grains? What do I need to do? Do I need to put tile in? Do I need to fertilize? What can I do to get what? More income off that property. That's how you've got to look at a stock portfolio. If I bought ground in 1980, is it worth more today? Yeah, I'd say without fail, ground is worth more today than it was in 1980. Has it gone straight up? No. And will it always go straight up? No, it fluctuates. But what's important to that ag producer, or me as not an ag producer but a landowner, what's important to me is how much income is that going to create for me? And how can I build that income? Same goes with the stock portfolio. We're going to buy stock of individual companies, and then we're going to look at it like the farm. How much income is that farm, my stock portfolio, going to pay me this year? And then how much is it paying me next year and the next year? And building my income stream, when I need to take money out, either I have it there in that income stream, or I can liquidate some stocks to get a larger, to get back some money. And what we're going to hope is that over time, that increases also, which historically the market's always done. So when we can get ag producers and individual investors, it's not about what a stock does tomorrow or today. I could, within feet of us, I can look and look exactly what the market's doing. And I do that daily because it's what I do for a living. Mm-hmm. Do I look at my portfolio? No, I don't care what it's going to do because I'm not selling. I'm in good companies and I'm going to stay with them because they're going to pay me dividends. And by doing that, it's rewarded me handsomely, and it's rewarded our clients handsomely. We do not want to jump in and jump out, and jump in and out, change investment style. We want to look at building income for our future, because that's what's important to all of us. When I never understood that when I was your age. What does that matter? I want a lot of money. Well, I've got clients that have tons of net worth, but they don't have any income because their assets aren't driving income.
Right.
And they need more income. Well, how do they get that? They have to sell some of that valuable asset. Mm-hmm. What I'd rather do is have a very valuable asset that created income for me that my family and I can live on and enjoy, and then, oh gee whiz, have a legacy for the next generation. And as you age, that becomes more and more important to all of us. I don't want to sell my ground. I don't want any of my clients to sell their ground, right?
Right.
Nobody listening to us wants to sell their ground. Their ground's not for sale unless something terrible happened. That's how you look at your stock portfolio. It's not for sale. I'm just getting income from it.
We'll check back in with Bob Schwartz in a moment. But first, I wanted to reveal to you why Bob wanted to create this show. Bob is coming up on 45 years of visiting with his fellow rural Americans in regards to their financial security and succession planning. He has a plethora of wisdom, interesting stories, and insights to share. Being a constant supporter of farmers and rural Americans, he hopes to connect with and inspire their interest in planning for what the future may bring. If you want to connect with Bob, visit our website at bobschwartzfinancial.com.
So what are some of the common mistakes that you see people making when they're doing this type of thing on their own, when they're planning for dividends?
Right, breaking the compound chain, selling,
Okay.
getting out of the market.
Okay, that's what that means. Breaking the compound chain.
Breaking the. If I own Procter and Gamble, if I've owned it for 40 years, if I sell it, I'm going to miss a dividend because they pay every 90 days. I've broken the chain. I've broken that compounding effect, and it's phenomenal as the years go by.
So when you sell it, you sell it back and you take your dividends, right?
Well, you don't get any more dividends. If I sell my stock, my dividends are gone.
And then if you reinvest,
then I've got to start picking, then it's going to pick back up.
Okay.
And did I buy higher or lower? And I'll give you an example of getting out of the market. Every election cycle that we go through, not just this last one, which was tumultuous at best. Every cycle we go through, I have clients call me up and say, do you think we ought to get out of the market? I just don't feel good about this election, and do you think we ought to get out of the market? And my answer is no, we're not getting out of the market. It's not new. But people will think, I need to get out. And I have people come in all the time that'll go, I got out in 2008. It just went down too much and I got out. Mm-hmm. Well, when did you get back in? Well, not till 2011. Well, they missed out on 3 years and the market had already regained everything and more during that period. Last March, I had people calling me saying, do we need to get out of the market? No, we did not get out. We stayed, and we stayed the course. And of course, you know what happened the rest of the year? The market had a bellwether year that's continued on into the new year. Mm-hmm. Are we going to have a reset? Is the market going to go down sometime? Yes. That's part of market investing. But if your strategy is great American companies that have a history of increasing their dividends, there's other parameters. I'm not going to go deep diving into stock investing here. But if I do that and I stick to my guns, good things are probably going to happen to me over my lifetime. And we don't believe in, doing anything but that dividend investing. It's time tested, and it's a great way to create income for ourselves during our retirement years.
So I have kind of, I guess, a technical question. So we'll say P&G again, Procter & Gamble, pay out every year for the last 83 years. Is that right?
They've paid out since the 1880s. They've paid a dividend. They've increased for 67 years, which is like 1953, 54, okay, something like that.
So I don't know if that's the best example or not, but I'll go with it anyways. How are they fluctuating? So even though they're increasing, in some years it's like 10, some years it's 1.
Oh, well, there's fluctuations in the price per share.
Okay.
Okay, so, 10 years ago, I'm just going to go back off the top of my head, Procter & Gamble was probably around $77 a share. Today it's around 128-ish. Has been as high as 140 in the last year. So, and here's how we are as investors.
Okay. My gears are starting to click together now on how this all is working.
We will take the high water mark of our investment, all of us. It was worth, I've lost so much money. No, you haven't lost any money because you haven't sold. But that's our mindset. And so the fluctuation in Procter & Gamble, they've increased their dividends every year for 67 years. Does that mean that the underlying value of the stock has gone up every year? No. What that means is their dividend has gone up a little bit. Mm-hmm. The underlying stock is created by what are market conditions, what's going on in politics, what's going on in the world. All those things affect the price of a stock.
So while that's kind of riding the wave, it's still putting out dividends regardless.
Amen. You understand dividends now.
Wow.
Yeah. And so if you had bought 67 years ago, mm-hmm, I can tell you a story like that because my mother she received 2 shares of Maytag when I was born, just because I was born. Now they bought their first automatic washing machine in 1951, and because Maytag gave her 2 shares of stock. And I'm not pumping us here, but I will say if you call us and want to talk to me about that, how that did, I will gladly visit with you about it. But let's say that you bought Procter & Gamble 67 years ago at X number of dollars a share, and it did not do a thing during that 67 years. Let's say it was $10 a share, and today it was $10 a share. You still would have received more dividend every year than you did the year before, mm-hmm, during that period. Now, I don't know what the price of it was I can go look that up. I don't know what the price of it was 67 years ago. But technically, I can't talk with you about that because that would be me saying that that's what it's going to do going forward in the future. And I can't say that. It's illegal. But I can say that they have had a history of increasing their dividends.
Right.
Charlotte, when dividends are paid, it's the board of directors of that company paying the dividend. Companies want to, A, increase their dividends every year. B, they want to make enough profit to make sure they can cover that dividend every year. Those boards do not want to lower or freeze the dividend. Mm-hmm. Okay? So I can be relatively sure that Procter & Gamble has a board, let's say there's 12 to 15 people on it, that are pretty engaged in how are the profits doing and do we have enough room to increase our dividend, which they have. So I'm relying on a board. I am not relying on the whim of Wall Street. I'm not relying on Reddit buying GameStop. Are you with me?
Yeah.
I am not counting on a war to get over or a war to start, mm-hmm, or somebody to come into power or somebody to go out of power. I'm not worried about that. What if I am worried about anything with Procter and Gamble? It is are they making money? And I look at that constantly. I look at their quarterly report that shows that, hey, can we take care of our dividend? We're not paying out too much of our dividend and eroding our profits? And they're not. And I don't think they will in the future, because I think they have a board that is pretty adamant on what they do. McDonald's has increased their dividends for since 1972, something like that. I mean, it's phenomenal. Great American companies, they like to pay dividends, and we like to receive them as shareholders, because it shows the health of the company that we invest in. And that's important. The health of a company is important. Knowing what you own is important. People all the time, you have a retirement plan. You've talked with me about your retirement plan.
Yeah.
They have mutual funds in them. What does their mutual fund own? People don't know. They have no idea.
Yeah, I would have no idea.
Right. I would, we could name off any number of funds, and I can tell you about the top 10 funds, the top 10 companies that a fund owns. Because first of all, they're the same. Sorry, folks, sorry to tell you that. But second of all, if you said a large cap growth, I can tell you the first, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft. Yeah, they're going to be 3 of the first 5 in a large cap growth fund. It's easy, but I can't tell you what the 100th company is they own. I have no idea. And I'm in the industry. But they put out a 70-page prospectus that you get every year, and that every investor gets every year. Who reads that?
You raised your hand, you read it?
yeah, I read it, yeah. No.
Will there be a test?
Yeah.
And then I read it.
Yeah. And nobody does. But what that has done to us is we get a statement and we go, oh my God, if it's a bad quarter, my account's down 10%. I got to get rid of it. And part of that fear is they don't know, nobody knows what they own. And if somebody sat with them and said, well, you own XYZ company, and XYZ's the largest producer of fertilizer in the world, you might go, well, you know what, that's a pretty good company. So one of the things that we figured out was that if we could sit down with clients and say, these companies, here's what you own. Do you have any questions about any of those companies? No. Do you think they're good companies? Yeah. Do you think they're going to go anywhere during this downdraft in the market? And our clients will go, no, I don't think they are. I was just scared because I was thinking, they forgot what our mission is. Do the prices fluctuate? Yes. We have no control over that. There's no secret sauce. Nobody that does what I do, there's no secrets. There's no, this is unbelievable. It's all good science. If people understand what they own, if they know the companies they own, Charlotte, doesn't that give them a better chance of staying engaged in the market?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. If you know that Procter and Gamble and Colgate-Palmolive and Microsoft and McDonald's and Apple, if you can look at those and go, I own those, gosh, they're great companies. It makes it easy to go, you know what, I'm going to ride this downturn of the market out. Just like as an ag producer, I can go, some ground that I own in Potawatomi County, my dad always said was the best ground in Potawatomi County. That's why I wanted to buy it.
Is it river bottom?
Yes, it is.
Yep, okay, just a guess.
And I bought it because Dad always said that was, out of all the places he took gas, that was the best farm. I want to own something that I know is good ground. Just like I want to own stocks that are good ground, good companies that are transparent. That's American companies. American accounting principles are much better than, basically, I shouldn't say they're better, but if I look at a prospectus or a corporate report from a company in Germany, I don't know what they're, I don't know how they gauge, are we making money? Or what our earnings are. I don't know. And I'm not going to invest in things I don't know. We're going to put money in companies that we know and that we're comfortable with.
Do you have a favorite small town fact or questions for us regarding this episode? Reach out by emailing Bob or call one of our Kansas offices in Silver Lake or Victoria. Visit our website at bobschwartzfinancial.com.